Alrighty, Friday afternoon. Here we go. I don't even know what to say. Here in California, we're on a pretty significant lockdown scenario. Second guessing every choice I've made with my family and what's happening in the house and what's happening with my people and everything else. And I have 2,000 projects going on, but I wanted to get here on Zoom with you guys to show you a few things in terms of how I take recipes and healthify them for you with a couple things in mind, right? We have our avatar in the Mama G lifestyle, somebody who consumes around 400 calories. Of those 400 calories, as I've revamped things for our clients, we are hitting about 100 to 125 calories from starchy grainy carbs. We have at least 75 calories coming from non-starchy vegetables. And then we're adding in our protein to be at least 20, somewhere to 30 grams for that particular avatar amount. And then the fat kind of comes into play in terms of what is needed to bring it up to an appropriate calorie amount, also in terms of helping us to get enough fat in there. So just so you know, I'm on Zoom right now. So those of you who are online with me, come on to Zoom with me. If you haven't been there before, because I'm going to be sharing things on the screen. Otherwise, you can just listen, and I'm recording on Zoom on my computer right now. So again, with building recipes, we are in a time where we can't get exactly what we need. So you might have to sub out some vegetables. You might have to sub out some non-starchy, some starchy grainies. So within the recipes, especially current recipes, we are able to really help you to get what you need. So I'm going to show you right here. I'm going to go into Mama G's. So bear with me while I get everybody loaded up and going. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so I'm going to show a recipe on Mama G's Lifestyle. So this is a new recipe that I recently situated with the help of Mindy, and it's a chicken pizzole. So again, if you're on Zoom with me, you'll be able to see this. If you're on Facebook, you won't be able to. So I suggest you come on over. So within the recipe, I'm going to look up the chicken pizzole, which is really delicious. And ironically, for most people, pizzole is something that seems to be available, but not for everybody. So within the recipe, it's going to tell you the number of servings. Now I'll tell you that it takes a couple tries by me and then some of you who have made it to kind of get the sweet spot in terms of determining quantity. So especially with the soups, a lot of them end up being really high in volume, which is kind of nice, but then sometimes it's difficult to eat. And then sometimes people will like do a half a soup serving, but then we kind of get a little discombobulated with exactly what you're needing to do in terms of food groups. So for instance, this chicken pizzole soup is 5 servings. And let's see if I can flip my screen here. Try to be multitasking here. Okay, so it's 5 servings, approximately 2 1/3 cup per serving. So remember, like, it's so complicated in terms of the metrics here, but if you cook yours longer than me and your lid's off and you lose more water volume than I do, you're going to have less soup. If you don't cook it as long as me and you have more volume of water, or your vegetables had more water or weight, it's just a little cumbersome here. So while, we can assume it's around 2 cups of soup, we can also do better knowing ounces, and then even better for you is if you just weigh or measure your batch and divide it by the number of servings. You know exactly what this looks like for you. And that's where you can actually write it on your recipe, a little post-it, or just put it in pen or whatever, and then you know the information. What's most important though is that you know that there's only 300 calories here. So I'm going to be telling you how to hit the calories and macros and food groups for this particular recipe. But what I'm going to tell you is based on the recipe, the way it is right now, that there are 110 calories coming from starchy grainies. We know that you are able to use about 100 to 120 calories from the starches and grains. So we're right in that figure there. Now, if you were to replace the hominy, right here, 3 cups of it. The easiest thing for you to do if you didn't have contact with me or didn't plan ahead or weren't on the Facebook group is to go ahead and, put into MyFitnessPal 3 cups of hominy and get a gist of how many calories that is. And replace it with something else. The other thing you could do is simply take because this is really the only starch in here. It gets a little more cumbersome if there's more than one kind, but you can pretty much rest assured that there are 550 calories, 5 times 110 calories from the starch or grain. And so you can simply replace that with something else, a brown rice, corn, a bean. I don't really care. Of course, things are going to shift a little bit, but in the midst of crisis and just trying to get some wholesome food, they are all wholesome, real foods. So we should be happy and thrilled to just get something that's nutritious and delicious. Really what happens here is the flavor profile comes in from the spices, from the cooking method, from the different types of foods in here that really give us the flavor factor, which really make this a really delightful meal. And it was a large quantity, which was kind of fun too, because I love big quantities of food. So we also know from my notes here is that 75 calories are coming from non-starch eats, which is the goal, right? 75 plus calories is coming from your starchy grainy. So we're good to go. So ultimately, you could replace all of these vegetables, or you could simply look up 8 ounces of sweet onion if you didn't have that and find out how many calories that is and replace it with more zucchini and carrots. But I'll tell you what, onions are pretty available out there, and I really suggest that you keep onions in your pantry. I have come to really love sweet onions as opposed to brown onions and even the red onions, but keep a variety. And so I keep sweet onions now, and I keep red onions in my pantry. And when I go to the store on my limited occasions now, I make sure I kind of pick up these vegetables that we utilize all the time in the Mama G lifestyle, because you're going to see that with my cheat sheet, it's like we're going to have a plethora of these things. And one of the things I'm going to try to do for you guys also is come up with a cheat sheet so that you can, instead of looking up onion and getting 2 million types of options here, I'm going to put in an MGL onion, and you can just call that up and be pretty rest assured it's logical. I want to show you, so that's what that looks like. The other thing I want to show you on here is that the recommendations from me is to place 1 ounce of cabbage in your serving bowl, raw cabbage, ladle the soup over it, top with your cheese or avocado to hit your fat and calorie goals. And you can even use dollop of Greek yogurt or sour cream to finish it. Again, this goes into MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal chicken pozole soup. And then you put in you put in these options. I would put in avocado 100% of the time and feel really good about it. So again, I would just get that situated so that I hit my calories necessary. I want to now go ahead and swap our share to this. So what I'm going to show you now, which is really interesting, when I went to look at the nutritional value of chicken, was there were so many options. Now realize this, anybody can put anything they want in MyFitnessPal, including Mama G. So I am going to, again, come up with a cheat sheet, and I'm going to put an MGL value for chicken breast, chicken thighs, boneless, skinless, all different kinds of things, raw, roasted, as many things as I can give you, because, we look at something like this, and again, this is 3.5 ounces. I wish you said 1 ounce is, for boneless, skinless, chicken breast roasted is 165 calories. With the bone in, it's 197 calories. Again, these are so debatable based on whether it has a bone in or not. It gets just a little more cumbersome here. So, we do the best we can. But if you look like a skinless thigh, or you look up a skin-on thigh, which we're not going to utilize really. What else do we see here? whole chicken meat only, whole chicken meat and skin. So I'm going to come up with a little cheat sheet to help you add these things in more logically into MyFitnessPal, because it's just so cumbersome to get the proper amount. When I was just looking up chicken a few minutes ago, I found boneless, skinless thighs cooked, which is where the problem will come in, not necessarily with the raw version, that varied anywhere from 35 to 65 calories an ounce. That's a big fat difference. And then we're looking about getting too many calories or too little calories over the course of time. It can make a really big difference. So just be aware of that. So let's go into MyFitnessPal now. And I'm going to just share what this can look like in that area as well, and what it looks like for me when I'm building recipes. So I'm in the midst of revamping this Greek lemon chicken soup, which is really delicious. And I'm going to, come up with our revamped version, because we have the older version right now, which doesn't give you all the details. But in here, what I do, just so you know, is I'm trying to get the calories around 400 calories for a one pot meal. If I'm having you add things, it will be a recommendation, and so the calories won't hit that until the end of it. But the first thing I'm going to look at is how much starchy grainy. And so for this recipe, we use some whole wheat flour to thicken the soup. We also were using some brown rice, which was about 500 calories. So I knew ultimately that I had about 600 calories coming from the starchy grainy. The serving size is 6. So right there, we have 100 calories. Now I'm probably going to up that so I get a little bit more calories from the starch. And then we look at the non-starchy veggies, again, with a 75 calorie minimum times 6, that's 450 calories, I believe. So when I start totaling out here, I'm going to be looking for somewhere in that range of 450 calories when I pull together my vegetables. Again, I'll have a little cheat sheet for you. So if you're replacing vegetables, you can do so in any capacity you want. The next thing that I will do automatically is put in the no-brainers. I know I'm going to need some olive oil for this recipe. I knew we needed lemon juice. I knew I needed some egg yolk. We know we need broth, and then we're going to need chicken. So I think in most cases, I'm going to probably be calling out chicken thighs or chicken breasts in the soups. They seem to be a little bit more abundantly available for us. And it allows us to add some perhaps more healthier fats like an olive oil or an avocado at the end, or different things like that, as opposed to using the saturated fat in the chicken itself. So I was doing some comparison figures here. And so I do know, and this is where I would indicate you, I'm going to probably end up putting what you need of raw chicken, but because I think that cooking it with raw chicken is nice because you get the flavor of the chicken infused into the soup itself. But I will always give you the option for cooked chicken breast as well, that you might have in your freezer, or cooked thighs, or those kind of things that you can just throw into the soup for a really easy throw together meal. So we'll always give you those options on the cheat sheet, but I think when I build the recipes that we're just going to go with the raw product to just make things more uniform and easier for you. So again, within any of these things, for me, what I'm trying to do is try to build these things realistically for you. And what I want to just show you right now is how I'll save it and log it. So I don't even know what I have going here. I'll put it in an after dinner snack because I've got a lot of different things going on. But I'll show you here what this looks like in terms of a meal. So there's the soup in general. It is around that 400 we've discussed. These are in percents right now. I'm not really caring too much. I like that the fat's in the 30 to 35% range, but now I'm going to hit grams. So protein sitting in the 24, so I'm very happy with that. I know that I have enough starch or grain. I know that I have enough non-starches in there, and so it makes me feel really confident in this recipe. The second factor comes in is that whether I made it myself recently, whether I guessed on it, because I may not have the amount of broth secured. I'm getting better at knowing about how much that we need to use. But what happens sometimes, especially when we cook the soups with the starches, that the starches continue to absorb water. Probably the vegetables do as well, as they sit in your refrigerator. So when we pull it out and warm it up, it may be thicker than we need. Now, guess what? A cup of chicken broth is probably about 10 calories. So whether you add some more chicken broth to loosen your soup up, or if you like it more stew-like, you're good to go. It's not a big deal. But I think it's just important for you to really take a deep breath right now. I know that I'm feeling a lot of anxiety at this point in my life. Again, determining whether I'm making the right decisions regarding social distancing, what's happening in my home, when somebody needs me, when I go out and need, when I go out and get my workouts. If you think that I'm not going to get my workouts, you're insane. Now, the nice thing is I have people in my house that I work out with, so we're able to go together because we already live together. We're already exposed to each other. But it just makes it more cumbersome when, you'd love to be with somebody, your friend, your family member, when they have littles, for instance, like we can say, oh, let's meet for a walk and we can keep our social distance, but those littles don't understand that you don't get to hug them or touch them, and you can't pick them up and smother them with your love. So it just is a little bit complicated in so many levels, and we just have to count down the days and figure it all out, and then try to reduce our anxiety with what we're seeing on TV and exposing ourselves to in social media and the like. So I think what's most important that we need to consider is that, number one, we need to control what we can control, right? So our control comes from what we're choosing to put in our mouths, how we're feeding our families, and how we're moving our bodies. And so for me, like this morning, it was really important that I got up. I have had my housekeeper for 26 years. I've had the privilege of having her as part of our family through all kinds of life experiences. And now I've told her that I'm going to be paying her, but I don't want her coming here for a multitude of reasons. And so I was like, you need to get up, and I'm going to pull my sheets off my bed. And while I've got my sheets off my bed, I'm going to get the vacuum out. I'm going to vacuum under my bed. So I've got that project going. And then my daughter came home from school, and her room was like my little storage area, and I wasn't expecting her for a few months. So I had to pull everything out of her room and make some space for her so that she could, put things in her closet and establish her place in the house again, because she expects to be here for a while as she goes through her prereqs for PA school. And then, that's all complicated with her now not being able to finish labs. And how does that look for the next semester of school? It's just really cumbersome. So we're just trying to figure out how this works for all of us. And so for me, coming up with a schedule, it was today is a day off of exercise plan. It was taking a shower. Actually, I took a soak, which kind of helps me. I was listening to the rosary when I was doing that as well. I got up, I put some makeup on. Yes, I put it on for me. I put it on to make me feel better. I put on some casual clothes, but I got out of pajamas and started my day. And now I know that I'm going to make sure I spend time with all of you at certain times. I know that I'm going to work on Mama G stuff, and I'm going to 100% be working on things within my house, things that I never had time for because I have so many things in my very busy life that I'd like to accomplish. I have people that I want to see, and now a lot of those things being taken away, it's an opportunity to get into the cabinets, get into some of those storage bins that I have stayed away from. It's a little bit of a slippery slope with us with losing Evan, and for all of us, we've got people that lots of memories that sit in those containers in our closets. But for me, it's like an opportunity to really do some pretty deep cleaning and again, controlling that which I can control in my life. So this is a Zoom call that's been recorded. I think this is great that I'm going to do lives like this as well, but this will be uploaded to YouTube for you. What I did was I went through my FitnessPal on how I build recipes, how within our new recipes, you will always see what the amount of calories for non-starchy veggie per serving and starchy grainy carbs, so that if you need to replace foods, right? Because we don't have everything we need like we're so used to, that I've kind of outlined it in here for you. Also, I want you to take advantage of the Facebook page. You know, if you don't have hominy and you want to make the chicken pozole soup, ask. I will help you. I will be there to help hold your hand. But that also helps me learn to, come up with these tools for you. Like I said, I'm coming up with a cheat sheet for all of you, so that when you're looking for foods, right, to add into MyFitnessPal, if you're not using one of my recipes, that you could actually know what's trustworthy. So like I said, I'm going to be hopefully adding, I think I can do it between Mindy and myself, adding the MGL version of what chicken breast raw you would use if it's boneless and skinless. So, or which asparagus you would use, because sometimes it's really complicated, because as I said earlier, anybody can add what they want into MyFitnessPal. So if we just tag everything MGL and whatever it is, when you go to add something to MyFitnessPal, it'll be really useful. Again, I'm going to say to you, take advantage of our recipes. Now, you will know an old recipe from a new recipe based on the fact that up top or somewhere in the recipe, it's going to tell you in parentheses the amount of non-starchy veggies and the amount of starchy grainy carbs per serving. That's part of our new. So if it's not there, it's old, and I need to revamp it. And that's where I'd love you to post on the Facebook page or message me on WhatsApp to tell me, hey, I want to make this recipe, but it's an older recipe. Because back then, we had more starches and grains in our recipes, less non-starchies. And I've revamped things over the years to kind of perfect how we can really up our nutrition, increase the flavor factor, and really enjoy every single morsel we put in our mouths. So I'm going to take a moment right now to allow you, if you're on with me at Facebook or on Zoom, to put a little post or question that you might have for me that I can answer right now. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to whatever nightmare project that I'm working on within my house. I will tell you that I think it's really important, if you haven't done it yet, that everybody has a game plan for your dinners throughout the week. So that's really important. Leftovers are easy. I've got tons of leftovers in my house. I've got how many people living with me now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 people living in my house right now. So I am trying to make sure that if I have planned dinners, they all know to eat leftovers, that we're not really looking for extra food or defrosting any other supplies, because those things are in my head outlined. But tonight is Friday night pizza night. Tomorrow night I'm going to do burgers. I already have pretty much things I need. I went through my freezers and I made lists, thanks to somebody who did it. Michelle Suggs, I think, did it, to make sure, to see what I had. And I was pleasantly surprised that I had a lot of chicken and turkey in there, which was really good. And then I found a lot of things that I need to use, that this is the time now. We had this stocked stuff in our freezers for when we needed it. Guess what? It's time, right? In the midst of the pandemic pandemonium, I'm naming it, I'm trying to have a game plan. So again, this is recorded on Zoom for you. I'll post it up a little bit later once I get it up to YouTube. Expect our weekly roundup every Monday. I've been making videos of short cooking videos for you, so you can see how easy some things are. I'm showing you different tools you might have in your kitchen, how to utilize them, some how to chop vegetables, different things to help you to maneuver better in your kitchens and feel more at ease, especially when now, guess what? All of you who didn't have time for cooking anymore, we have time for cooking now. So Mama G is here to hold your hand through this crisis. We're counting down until we figure out what's going on for all of us, and know that I'm praying for all of you and that I'm here for you. And it helps me feel so much better when I can help you. So keep reaching out. Let's support each other on the Facebook group. And if you need me, holler. You know what Mama G always says. It's not about what you lose, folks. It's all about what you gain. And it's all about how we support each other during this crisis. Take care.